So how do we start with the command? Well, at the base of this pyramid, or the base of our foundations, is sleep, nutrition, hydration. I don't really spend a whole lot of time talking about it because as coaches, this is kind of the one area that we don't have that much control over. But that being said, guys, if you can help your players prioritize sleep, and you can do this a little bit with your scheduling and stuff, like 6 a.m. lifts are probably not the most ideal because just as a high school or college athlete, probably not going to bed at 10, 9 or 10 o'clock like they know they need to get up. So, but prioritize sleep, nutrition, and hydration. That you can't talk about recovery without talking about those three things, because those are definitely the foundational things that you have to get accomplished if you're going to really, really focus on recovery. The next one, guys, is the ramp up. We've hit this one pretty hard. I always like Coach Wolford's analogy. If I went out and ran a marathon tomorrow, having never trained for a marathon, and I got hurt, was it because I was overworked or underprepared? The answer is obviously I was underprepared to handle the stresses that come along with running a marathon. And guys, I firmly believe that most of the injuries in today's, it's not a workload. Well, I guess it is workload. It's not we're throwing too much workload. It's that we haven't prepared ourselves to handle the workload that we're being asked of them. We're going out and preparing to throw 40, 50 pitches in a game, and then asking a young man to go throw 100. Okay? We want to save the bullets. We want to control how much they're throwing, right? Well, you're really not preparing their soft tissue to handle the workload. Okay? And then we have to ramp them up, nice and slowly. So it's our jobs as coaches to thread that needle perfectly on how to add stress gradually over the course of time. The longer the ramp up, the better off they are. And then the ramp up, the other side of the ramp up is the ramp up into training sessions, making sure they have adequate time to get their arms and bodies fully ramped up to go. I know you guys didn't get to see Garrett, Rob, or Duggar yesterday do their full warm-up, but when they got down there, they had already been moving around I think they started moving around about 12:45 yesterday for a 1:30 basically. So they had 45 minutes of doing stuff down there that you guys didn't even see before they even started throwing in front of you guys. And then we got to minimize the stress of the soft tissue, right? These are making a guy more mechanically efficient, right? If he's more mechanically efficient, he's going to throw with less trauma to the soft tissue, which makes it faster, makes the recovery process a lot easier, right? The less stress on the arm, the faster it is to recover. The less physical constraints, what Coach Arthur talked about yesterday, the easier it's going to be to recover, right? We've got to minimize the stress, as little stress to the soft tissue as we possibly can. Yes, there's always going to be a certain level of stress that comes along with throwing a baseball 95 miles an hour. But I always say you can do it a less stressful way, like Nolan Ryan, who pitched for 27 years in the big leagues, or you can do it in a more stressful way, like Joel Zumaya, who pitched for 6 years but was only healthy for one of them. Sorry, Tyler. Tyler's a Detroit Tiger fan, so that one hurts. There's always going to be that certain level of stress that comes along with it. So we've got to try to minimize that as much as we can. Physical preparation, okay? This is the strength and conditioning, what we're doing to the body. I like to show this picture, and I'll throw a quick quiz. All right, who thinks this guy is the better athlete on this one? You have to vote. This guy. Anybody vote this guy? Right there. Okay. What about this guy? Anybody gonna vote this guy? Okay. So it's kind of a trick question. Obviously, over here on my left, your right, we have Usain Bolt, who's the fastest man alive. Okay, current world record holder in the 100 and 200 meter sprints. But on the right here, I think it's Eliud Kipchoge. I can't really say his name, but he's the current world record holder in the marathon. He's actually the first person ever to run a marathon in under 2 hours. So the real answer is they are both world-class athletes. They're just different type of athletes. Okay, you have a world-class sprinter and power athlete, and then you have a world-class endurance athlete on this side. Okay? The issue that we run into is that we train, I shouldn't say we, hopefully by now we figured out the science. Speaking to this group right here, I think most of us would know that we are not endurance athletes when we get to the mound. We're power athletes. But for the vast majority of coaches out there, they're training their pitchers like this and then asking them to go pitch like this, right? Baseball is just a series of small, explosive movements, right? 2.5 seconds to throw a pitch, followed by what? A 20 to 25 second recovery period. And then we do that 15 times, hopefully. My career was more like 25 to 30 times. You can ask Flynn. I pitched for him, okay? And and then we go sit down for 5 minutes while our offense hits, right? So we want to get really good at that, being really explosive for 15 to 20 activities or reps, and then going and sitting down for 5 minutes, right? That's what we got to get really good at. Okay, we're still running polls and doing that stuff, guys. That's not training our athletes for the demand that's going to be placed upon them in the sport. Okay, we're power athletes. We need to train like them. All right, and then our next one, and my first thing I'm going to go really into detail about is cycling our workloads. Okay, this is the first thing as coaches that we can understand and really influence here as we begin to cycle our workloads as we go through this.